Hello students, in my today's video I am going to discuss about commercial batteries. So first of all we should understand what is a battery. So battery is combination of two or more cell in series, and see these batteries play very important role in our day-to-day life. Right from the device which we are using, mobile, that contains lithium ion discharge battery, our wall clocks, remote control that contain dry cell, or wristwatch that operate through button cell, our batteries of car or vehicles or inverters that works on lead storage battery we are using there. Okay, so these all batteries or cells are classified into three categories. First category is primary cell. First category is primary cell. And we will be discussing about primary cell first with its example. Whenever I am talking about any cell or battery, what we should know about that particular cell is what anode we are using, cathode we are using, and what substance we are using as electrolyte. Number one. Number two, what reaction is taking place at anode, cathode, and then what is the overall reaction of the cell. What potential is developed by the cell, what are its limitations, and what are its uses. So first of all, I am taking primary cell. Whenever we are taking primary cell, so what is a primary cell? Primary cell can be used once throughout its life. Once we have switched on the primary cell, then we can't recharge it. Means what happens, once the cell reaction is completed, it cannot be reversed. That's why primary cell cannot be recharged. Say, I have written here, cannot be recharged. Why? Because cell reaction cannot be reversed. We have two such examples in our syllabus. One is dry cell and another is button cell or mercury cell. So we have two primary cells in our syllabus, dry cell and button cell. First of all, I am taking dry cell. Dry cell is often used in our houses in remote controls, wall clocks, toys, etc. And it produces a potential of 1.25 volt, 1.25 volt to 1.5 volt, and this potential gradually decreases. As the reactants used in the reaction, its potential gradually decreases, right, and it cannot be recharged. In primary, this dry cell, we use anode of zinc, then we use cathode of graphite, and that graphite is surrounded by manganese dioxide, MnO2. So in dry cell, our anode is zinc and cathode is graphite surrounded with MnO2. When you open, sometimes you all might have broken this dry cell, and when you break it out, what happens? You find a black color paste and black rod. That black rod is graphite and black color paste, that is your MnO2. And electrolyte, we are using paste of NH4Cl and ZnCl2. What we are using as electrolyte? Paste of NH4Cl and ZnCl2. Now what reaction takes place in this cell? At anode, zinc oxidizes to Zn2 plus 2 electrons, and at cathode NH4 plus and MnO2 reacts and gain 1 electron to form MnOOH plus NH3. Now here you see at anode, oxidation number of zinc move from 0 to plus 2. And at cathode, oxidation number of manganese in MnO2, it is plus 4, shift to plus 3. One of the very important case. You rarely find +3 oxidation state of the manganese, and see, this is the +3 oxidation state case of the manganese, and ammonia is produced. This ammonia is corrosive in nature. Okay, ammonia is corrosive in nature. If it remain in the form of NH3, then what happens? It will damage the cell. See, what is the overall reaction? In anode reaction we have 2 electrons, whereas at cathode we have only 1 electron. So this cathode reaction is multiplied by 2. So we are getting Zn plus 2NH4 plus 2MnO2 gives Zn2 plus 2MnOOH plus 2NH3. And see, this ammonia formed, as I told, it is corrosive in nature. It will damage the cell. So this ammonia, we have used ZnCl2 here. You can see this is ZnCl2. That ZnCl2, Zn2 plus reacts with ammonia to form ZnNH3 whole twice 2 plus, and it is non-corrosive complex. So what is the role of ZnCl2? It form a complex with ammonia, and that is non-corrosive in nature, means it prevent damage of the cell. Okay, so this is about your dry cell. In dry cell, anode is zinc, cathode is graphite surrounded with MnO2, electrolyte is paste of ammonium chloride and zinc chloride. Anode reaction Zn converts into Zn2 plus 2 electrons. Cathode NH4 plus 1 electron plus MnO2 converts into MnOOH plus NH3. And overall reaction Zn plus 2NH4 plus 2 MnO2 gives Zn2 plus 2 MnOOH plus 2 NH3. And that ammonia formed is converted into non-corrosive complex ZnNH3 whole twice 2 plus. As I told, only the drawback of this cell, that is its potential gradually decreases and it cannot be recharged. Now I am coming to another common primary cell which we are using in our day-to-day life, that is button cell or mercury cell. Button cell you all might have been seen in your wristwatches. Wristwatches we are using this button cell. In hearing aids we are using button cell, and in many electronic devices, small electronic devices also, we use this button cell. In button cell, anode is made up of zinc amalgam ZnHg. Only zinc take part in the reaction. Be clear in this thing, right? Cathode, that is containing graphite rod with HgO. Here it was graphite rod with MnO2, it is graphite rod with HgO. And electrolyte we are using paste of KOH. So what happens at anode? Zn plus 2OH minus converts into ZnO plus H2O plus 2 electron. Now you can compare this anode reaction of dry cell and anode reaction of button cell. In dry cell it was zinc converted to Zn2 plus. Here zinc is converted to ZnO. Here it is forming a compound, and see oxidation number again changing same 0 to plus 2. And this electrolyte OH minus ion is reacting, KOH is reacting, forming H2, 2 electrons. Then what happens? HgO at cathode gain 2 electrons and reacts with water to form Hg and 2 OH minus. Now what happens? We get ZnHg plus HgO gives ZnO plus Hg. And you can see 2 electron to 2 electron cancel. 2 electron to 2 electron cancel. 2 OH minus to 2 OH minus cancel. And H2O to H2O cancel. Means overall cell reaction of this button cell or mercury cell, it contains ZnHg plus HgO gives ZnO plus Hg. And you can see overall reaction of the cell do not contain any ion. Overall reaction of the cell do not contain any ion whose concentration may change appreciably. That's why this button cell produces a steady potential. See, here its potential gradually decreases. And button cell, what happens? It produces a steady potential and it stops functioning at a time, means its potential will not decrease gradually, and it produces approx 1.35 volt of the potential during its working. So this is about your button cell or mercury cell. So in our syllabus, primary cells, two primary cell, dry cell and button cell. I have discussed all the things. Now we will be taking secondary cells. So in secondary cell, now what is a secondary cell? Secondary cell, as I told you, that can be recharged by passing current in opposite direction of flow of current in the cell, so that cell reaction get reversed. Okay. When I told you electrochemical cell, in electrochemical cell, when we apply external potential, and if the external potential is greater than cell potential, what happens? Current flow in opposite direction of the flow of current in the cell, means anode becomes cathode, cathode becomes anode. This concept we are using in this case. Now lead storage battery is one of the example of a secondary cell in our syllabus, right? In lead storage battery, and see, this lead storage battery is very common in every house. We will find one or two lead storage batteries, particularly in our vehicles. Say whether it is two-wheeler, four-wheeler or any other commercial vehicle. What happens? Lead storage battery is used there. Then in inverters, we are using lead storage battery. You all might have been seeing a big white color box with either 3 caps or 6 caps at the top. If 3 caps are there, means 3 lead storage cells are connected in series. If 6 caps are there, means 6 lead storage cells are connected in series. Okay, clear? Now in this lead storage battery, anode is lead, and what reaction takes place at anode? Pb plus SO4 2 minus. This is from the electrolyte section. H2SO4. I will be discussing. Gives PbSO4 plus 2 electron. And in cathode we are using PbO2. What we are using? PbO2. And see what happens? PbO2 plus 4H plus SO4 2 minus plus 2 electrons. That converts into PbSO4 plus 2H2. We are using 38% H2SO4 with a specific gravity of 1.86, and see the overall cell reaction is Pb plus PbO2 plus 2H2SO4 gives PbSO4 plus 2H2O. 2H2O. And this is your overall cell reaction. When we want to recharge the cell, now what happens in recharge? As I told you, we have to pass current in opposite direction of the flow of current in the cell, so that cell reaction get reversed. So in recharging process, when we pass external potential greater than cell potential, your cell reaction get reversed. 2 PbSO4 plus 2H2 gives Pb, that is at anode, PbO2, that is at cathode, and H2SO4, that is your electrolyte. And as I told you, in batteries, generally one lead storage cell, it produces 2 volt potential difference. If we have connected 6, that will be 12 volt, generally used in inverters. And in our small vehicles, that is 3 caps are there, 3 cells are connected in series, and that produces 6 volt potential difference. Okay, so this is one example of lead storage battery. Another example, that is nickel cadmium cell. So next we are taking nickel cadmium cell. So in nickel cadmium cell, we have one advantage and one disadvantage. That's why this nickel cadmium cell is less common. Lead storage battery is very common. In nickel cadmium cell, we can say it is more durable than lead storage battery, right? So if you compare durability of lead storage battery and nickel cadmium cell, NiCad cell, NiCd, NiCad cell is more durable, but it is expensive. NiCad cell is expensive. Okay, that's why it is very less common. Now in NiCad cell, nickel cadmium cell, we are using anode of cadmium, cathode of NiOH whole thrice, and electrolyte we are using as KOH. What reaction taking place at anode? Cd plus 2OH minus convert into CdO plus H2O plus 2 electron. And here nickel plus 3 oxidation state. NiOH whole thrice plus 1 electron. That converts into NiOH whole twice plus OH minus. Means, see, at cathode oxidation number of nickel is converting plus 3 to plus 2. Right? And again, plus 3 oxidation state of nickel is very rare. This is one of the example. If you see in this case, we have 1 electron at cathode. That's why this cathode reaction, it is multiplied by 2. So that what happens? When we are multiplying it by 2, electron to electron cancel, 2 OH to OH cancel, and overall cell reaction contains Cd plus 2 NiOH whole thrice gives CdO plus 2 NiOH whole twice plus H2O. So this is overall cell reaction of nickel cadmium cell. Next we are taking fuel cell, very useful. Okay, so in fuel cell, what is fuel cell? See, it's little different. Primary cell, secondary cell, where our cell reaction was taking place in a different fashion. And in case of fuel cell, cell reaction will be taking place in a different fashion. So first of all, we'll understand what is a fuel cell, because the word fuel is used. So what is fuel cell? Electrical energy is generated by direct combustion of fuel. Means your fuels are directly come in contact with each other. And what happens? There will be direct combustion of fuels and electrical energy is generated. Now, these fuel cells are generally used in your spacecrafts. जितने भी spacecrafts हमारे होते हैं, in all spacecrafts we are using fuel cells. Say India Apollo mission, it also this fuel cell was also used. Fuel cell, we are in need of two things. One is the fuel and another is the oxidizer. So generally in fuel nowadays hydrogen is used exclusively, but apart from hydrogen, methane can be used, methanol can be used. And say oxidizer, we are using O2. Instead of O2 we can use H2O2 and we can use HNO3 also, but O2 is very convenient for us, like hydrogen is very convenient. We have hydrogen oxygen fuel cell in our syllabus. Hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. So if you see this hydrogen oxygen fuel cell, I have made its diagram. What we are using at anode, that is hydrogen, and at cathode we are using oxygen. You know, hydrogen oxygen both required a specific inert electrode, so we are using a palladiated graphite here. Palladium is used in graphite, so it increases the speed of reaction, palladium. Okay, and aqueous NaOH is used as the electrolyte. So from one side we supply hydrogen, another side we supply oxygen. Means, see, hydrogen and oxygen are not stored in the cell as it was in the previous cases, right? What happens at anode? This hydrogen plus 4 OH minus ion from the electrolyte react to form 4 H2O plus 4 electrons. And at cathode, oxygen gain 4 electrons and reacts with water to form 4 OH minus. Now in the overall reaction, you can see 4 electron to 4 electron cancel, 4 OH to 4 OH cancel, 2 OH to 4 OH cancel. How much is left? 2. So we have 2H2 plus O2 gives 2H2O. And see, water is used, water is formed in this reaction. In other cases, products were harmful. In this case, see, water is formed as product, and as I told, it is used in the spacecrafts. So that water can be used by the persons who are handling those spacecrafts. See here, H2O is produced. So first advantage of fuel cell, it is pollution free. Number 2, here we have valve control. So this cell will work as long as fuels are supplied. And third thing, that is it has very high efficiency, 70%. In general cases it is 30 to 40% efficiency. This cell has 70% efficiency. One thing you should know, whenever you want to determine efficiency of any electrochemical cell or device, so it will be delta G upon delta H of the reaction. Then why we are not using this fuel cell in our day-to-day life? So it has some limitations. It is expensive. Number two, problem of storage of hydrogen. How it is expensive? See, we are using palladium. And another problem, that is how to store the hydrogen. That's why it has limited uses up to spacecrafts only. So this is about your batteries. We have primary, secondary and fuel cells. In each case we have two examples. In fuel cell we have only one example, hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. Okay, clear? Now next topic we are taking corrosion. You all might be surprising why this corrosion is taken in electrochemistry. It's purely your inorganic concept where rust is formed or metal surface get corroded, and we have taken it in electrochemistry. Why we have taken electrochemistry, we'll understand. Before that, we'll understand what is corrosion. So corrosion is slow eating away of metals due to attack of moisture or atmospheric gases is called as what? Corrosion. So क्या बोलते हैं अपन? Corrosion बोलते हैं कि slow eating away of metals due to attack of moisture and atmospheric gases. The most common example of corrosion is the rusting. Beside rusting, we can see tarnishing of silver, tarnishing of copper. When copper articles come in contact of moisture and atmospheric gases, green coating is formed. On silver articles, black coating is formed. These all are the examples of corrosion. Right? Now, why we have taken this particular topic in electrochemistry? Say, when you see kinetics of this reaction, speed of corrosion is very slow. Right? And thermodynamically, if I say rusting, that is Fe plus 2H2, this one, O2 plus H2O gives Fe2O3.xH2O. And see, thermodynamically, entropy of the system is decreasing. Means, neither thermodynamically nor kinetically, we can say it is a spontaneous process. But electrochemically, we can prove that corrosion or rusting is spontaneous process. How? So whenever corrosion or rusting occurs, I have taken example of rusting of iron. It begins with reaction of moisture with carbon dioxide. You all know moisture is present in the atmosphere. When it reacts with carbon dioxide, it forms H2CO3. H2CO3 is a weak acid and it dissociates to give H plus and CO3 2 minus. So for initiation of the rusting, we are in need of H plus ion. We are in need of H plus ion. Now when we move to coastal areas or where the content of moisture is more, this reaction will be in little bit more speed, means we will have more concentration of H plus ion. That's why rusting is quicker in coastal belts or those areas where moisture content is more, humidity is more. But rusting can be prevented in alkaline conditions. How in alkaline conditions? If we are providing alkaline situation, this H plus ion will react with OH minus ion and H forms H2O, means no H plus ion will be there. In this H plus ion, it begins the corrosion. Now, any iron article is there and one of the iron atom in that article, if oxidized to Fe2 plus 2 electrons, Fe2 plus 2 electrons, that will turn to Fe2 plus 2 electrons, that will act as anode. It will act as anode. Why? Oxidation is carried out. E naught Fe2 plus 2 Fe, that's standard potential minus 0.44 volt. Now these electrons start to move in that particular system. And whenever it will get H plus ion, O2 is already available, it will get H plus ion, say this H plus ion. It will react with O2, 4 electron, and gives 2 H2O at cathode. And H plus O2 to H2O, its E naught is 1.23 volt. Overall cell reaction, say we have to multiply this equation by 2. When we multiply it by 2, 2 to the 4 electron to 4 electron will be cancelled. Now, Fe plus 4H plus twice Fe plus 4H plus O2 gives twice Fe2 plus 2H2O. This is the overall reaction. And I can say this is our cell constructed. And when I determine its standard cell potential E naught cell, E naught cathode minus E naught anode, or E naught R minus E naught L, and see what will be its value, 1.23 minus 0.44 volt, it's 1.67 volt. And see this E naught is positive, we can say this reaction is spontaneous. And now we can prove that corrosion can be envisaged as electrochemical process. It is a spontaneous process. Its delta G will be negative while E naught cell is positive. Now what happens next? This Fe2 plus ion further reacts with O2 and H2O, forms Fe2O3 and H plus. So once H plus ion is formed, now this H plus ion will continuously be formed during the process. And this Fe2O3 plus XH2O, Fe2O3 dot XH2O, that is your brown colored rust. Okay, clear? As I told you, if we provide any alkaline medium, so whatever anti-rust solutions are used and these are spreaded, they essentially contain bases. Because in alkaline conditions, now this H plus ion will be neutralized by OH minus ion and no further reaction, because cathode is not there, reaction will not be completed. Okay. How we can prevent rusting? Because it is a global problem. So number one, oiling, painting, greasing. These are barrier methods. Another one, galvanization, that is coating of zinc or any other more reactive metal, say anodizing or cathodic protection. And use of anti-rust solutions. Use of anti-rust solutions, we can prevent this corrosion. So this is all about your corrosion. And it was the last topic of the electrochemistry. You should watch all the videos related to electrochemistry and you can understand this concept. Thank you.